Good morning. We are going to tell a morning story, or you can be a bedtime story, whatever. There's different time zones on this planet. I'm actually sitting in my Airbnb. I'm in Minnesota. And I made myself some coffee. It's like I got up at like 4:30 in the morning. So things aren't open yet, and also it's too cold to drive to get coffee, so I made some at my Airbnb. But I want to tell a story about how to literally overcome hate and fear, because I have some updates with things, and because I made a funny video prior with olives just to try to ease people into the concept of being exposed to talking about deeper things such as overcoming hate and fear, because those are some big topics. Those are some heavy topics. So we will start with hate, because hate is a very strong word to utilize based on some of the actions and words and outcomes that have been associated with the utilization of the word hate, right? There's even hate crimes. To say you hate something, to me, invokes a state of where you want to hate something so much means that you desire to remove whatever that is that you hate from existence, because that's how wrong you felt, or that's how evil, that's how corrupt, that's how whatever it's labeled as is perceived. And so to hate something means that you no longer desire it to be within existence, according to my definition and according to how humanity demonstrates how they behave when they hate something. Okay, so overcoming hate is challenging. I think a lot of people, they actually tend to avoid utilizing the word hate, that I've noticed, and as far as nuances and words. They utilize the word no nonchalantly, but they're very careful when they utilize the word hate, especially towards another human. People don't like to utilize the word hate when they talk about another human. But their actions, you don't need to utilize that word for people's actions to demonstrate what they hate. So I tend to use the word dislike. If I don't actually like something, I say I dislike it. Even, hopefully that became clear in my olive video, right, where I was gagging and just couldn't, I still don't like olives. But I utilized the term hate there, and I made that video so funny because I wanted people to start get comfortable with talking about things like this, okay? So does everyone see how this is going? I'm aware. I'm a good teacher. Okay, I had to throw in one little joke in there. So when someone says they hate something or invoke action or outcomes that lead to meeting the criteria or definition of hate, right? Everyone can agree that what occurred during World War II to human beings met the definitions of hate. Or what occurred in Rwanda met the definitions of hate. What occurred to Charlie Kirk meets the definitions of hate. Okay, do we understand the trend of what hate looks like? Okay. Because again, hate invokes the term or the conception that something is so innately disgusting, worthless, feared, hated, that human or that thing is desired to be extinct and to no longer exist. That's some pretty strong inspiration, right? Someone must be very inspired or feel a certain way in order to be invoked or inspired to do that. So how do we get over hate and fear? We'll start with hate because, again, when someone has something done dirty to them, it could be, you can name anything. Everyone can clearly remember a time in their life when they were done dirty. I will use my own life as an example. So this morning, actually, I'll talk about a recent story. I mentioned it coincidentally during my scammer story, which wasn't even about him. And I vented to Addie because I was so frustrated with this other person. It's in India. And he was so sweet. He was just like, no, don't give up. Like, keep going. And I said, you're right. I'm going to keep going. Anyways, so I hired this, I'm on Threads, or I was more active on Threads. I've kind of gotten bored with it. But I met this person that they were into some person going through school, younger of age, I assume, taking care of their parents and into sketching and making art. They have all their sketches. I checked them out. Like, they have sketches. And then they posted one time when I saw them, because we had some good philosophical conversations. I love people that engage in deeper conversations and desire to, expand their cognition, make something of themselves, like believe in themselves. And so I saw after a while, he posted that he's like, hey, I just sold my first commission. He posted a picture of the sketch he drew. And it was like some anime character. I don't know what it was. It was something cool though. Okay, like this person was very proud that someone commissioned them to purchase an artwork, and they posted about it. And they wrote like, hey, if anyone desires a custom sketch, I can give you quotes. Reach out to me. And this is when I was done with my diary, and I was just waiting for the time to publish it. My personal diaries. And I was like, you know what? I really want to design a cover because I had a very specific image of what I desired on the cover. Something very simplistic. It was actually a dandelion growing out of a crack. A crack in like the asphalt or the earth. Concrete. Anyways, hired him. He was so excited for it. He was sending me like updates and like showing me some other things that he was working on because he was just so excited because I paid him because he gave me his price chart. And again, y'all, this person's starting out. And his sketches are extraordinary. You should see his drawings. They're extraordinary. His highest price for a custom sketch was $100. And again, I want to acknowledge people for their efforts. I want to pay them for their efforts for what they demonstrate that they feel like they're worth. His highest price of what he viewed as what he was worth was $100. And let me tell you, if anyone's ever seen artwork, custom artwork, or hand-drawn artwork, something for $100, like you can pick the size, whatever, is not expensive. Not expensive at all. And this guy, like the things he could do with a ballpoint pen, extraordinary. I was like, holy cow, I can barely write words with a ballpoint pen. Look what you created. Anyways, went through all that. He asked me for a timeline. I said, hey, no rush. I'm in no rush. Just get it to me when you can. And coincidentally, right, my book fell through like a couple weeks ago because my publisher backed out, even though they're really excited. Anyways, during this process, I was aware that he was starting to be inconsistent. Like, he was really excited about it. He kept sending me updates. And then he spoke about how his dad just had like another heart attack or something. He briefly mentioned it. And so I was like, okay, he's in a rough spot right now. He's in a rough spot. At least I assumed, right? He could have made this all up. Who knows? This could be some dude, just banking, rolling in money, pretending like they're actually draw. Who knows? I trust people. And it came time to it was near Diwali. And so when it was by Diwali, he was like, hey, your sketch is done. I'm going to send it tomorrow, or after Diwali's over. I'm going to get you a receipt and the tracking number, and this is how much it's going to cost, and this is the travel or the shipping, whatever. This is who I'm shipping it through. Hey, it's going to be this much. Can you send that? And I said, okay, I paid him ahead of time. And I said, yeah, no problem. And so I sent him like a couple extra dollars over what he quoted me at, just in case. And then I was like, cool, this should be fine. And then he comes back, though, a couple days later and asks, hey, if at all possible, could you spare $100 or $200 more dollars? Like, I'm trying to pay for my dad's thing, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, things are rough. And I told him, hey, man, I have a life, too. I'm stretched thin. Like, I'm utilizing my money purposely. I'm very good with my financial discernment and management. That is why I'm able to do these things. I do not have a limitless amount of money like it perhaps people believe or perceive. I am very good with my financial finances. Let's just say that. Budgeting. And so I let him be aware, being like, I apologize. I can't do that right now because I have my own things. Like even my own father is on dialysis, hooked up to a machine to live. I understand what you're going through, but at the same time, money is not going to fix your problems. So I'm not going to give you any more of it. Because again, I don't give handouts. I pay people for their efforts. I bought this drawing from him. He was doing extraordinary work, whatever. And I was aware he was just starting out. He doesn't have much commissions, right? He told me this. He showed it on his social media, right? He was excited he got his first commission. I was probably his second one. Anyways. I noticed something started going off a little bit. And this is again after I paid him. I noticed something was off because he said, hey, I finished the bird sketch, but it was really, I want to make another one for you. So I'm doing another one. And I commented back, I wrote back because I saw that and I said, something's awry here. I firmly believe he is an artist and he is going through school. He's a struggling local artist, right? Every person, if anyone's ever been familiar with someone that is trying to promote their own artwork, be an artist, it is tough. It is very hard. Okay, so, and sometimes they're very imaginative and artsy. So I was like, maybe he mistook me from someone else. Okay, I did not ask for a bird, I asked for a dandelion. And we went over it, very detailed. And he said, oh yeah, that's done too, but also like, I want to make you this because I'm just so thankful for, you believing me and supporting me and doing this for me. I said, cool, that's fine. But just for clarification, I'm the one that asked for the dandelion, not the bird. The dandelion drawing. Fast forward to whenever I made the video, November 10th, November 11th, or what day is it today? Whatever, a couple days ago. I reached out to him and I said, hey, because I hadn't heard from him. Diwali happened, all these things happened. I didn't hear from him. And I said, hey, by any chance, like, is there an update? Can you send the tracking number? Can you send the receipt? This and that. Because he also said that there's a digital version of his artwork that's going to be available that you can download. But then he asked me at the beginning, do I want a digital or, what's it called? Do I want a digital or a print version? And I said, actually, I want both. And I'm willing to pay for it. And so fast forward to shipping time, his story falls apart. He says he shipped it on the 23rd of October, even though previously he told me he was waiting till after Diwali to ship it. Then he comes back later and after Diwali has occurred, because I gave him that time period, and I actually reached out to him during that time and said, hey, I'm aware it's Diwali, or hey, is there any chance that you've shipped it? And then I said, oh, never mind, you said it was Diwali, so never mind, I'll wait a couple more days. And he just said, thanks, or okay, thanks. So I waited like a week, nothing from him. So I reached out and he said, actually, I shipped it on the 23rd. It got pushed back. It got sent back for some reason. So I went on the 28th of October and shipped it. And it was so embarrassing and shameful. All the things they made me do and the customs and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, is there a tracking number? Is there a picture? This and that. He said, they gave me a picture. I'll get it to you tomorrow. Again, does everyone see how things are going awry? It's very easy for me to justify and state that I have a reason to seek justice on this person, to feel hate for this person, to feel a certain anger, resentment towards this person, being like they're obviously caught in their own lies. And I tell people too, I don't like utilizing the word lies because lies is just someone states. They're stating their dreams. They're stating who they wish they were. How many times do people lie? It's usually to cover their asphalt because they're embarrassed or ashamed. A lie is them verbalizing to other people the person that they desire to become. That is them stating who they desire to be. I was aware that he was stating to me who he desired to become. Okay, he wasn't there yet. I was aware he was caught in his own lies. That doesn't mean I'm going to call him out on it. I'm going to gently try to guide him. There's no reason to get mad at him. I understand he's a human being that's going through a learning process. When someone does that, it is a bright signal flare and beacon stating, I am in a state of learning. I may be unaware I'm in a state of learning, however I am. And here's why. And he demonstrated, it's very clear to everyone, he is in a state of learning, right? Inconsistencies, covering his actions up, trying to cover up a lie or cover up whatever the origin of this story actually was. I was aware of that. However, I already sent him $100. Like, shipping was only like $40 more for this document, which is way cheaper, by the way, than $539 to ship a box. Okay. Like I said, world peace is not easy, but I need these stories to tell so people can understand how to get over hate and fear. So to this morning comes, and I read all these things, and he sends me a screenshot being like, oh, this is what they sent me. Is this correct? And the picture he sent, maybe I'll send it or I'll post it, was like fuzzy. The name on the package from where he sent it from didn't even match his name, and it said to the United Kingdom. And it was all, you should see the photo. It's just like, I was like, okay. And so I stated again to him, I said, hey, remember when you said that there was, I was like, was there no tracking number or receipt? I said, did they not give you a tracking number or receipt when you got this? And then I wrote, and I thought about it, because obviously, right, this guy's caught in his lie. He's caught. He understands that. He's caught. Yet he's still choosing to engage with me, right? He doesn't have to engage with me. He's got his money. He's aware he's not going to do it or whatever's going on. He's out. But he's still staying present with me. He's not hiding. He's not going away. He's not doing anything. He's staying present. And he's responding and engaging. That shows effort. Okay, that shows he's facing his fears. That's extraordinary. So why would I punish him? Why would I take it out on him when I understand that he is being vulnerable and he is giving his best efforts, but he just needs some help. He needs a little bit of guidance on which way to go. He's learning, okay? But everyone can perceive how easy it is for someone to get upset, right? Clearly this person is not going to pull through with what I paid for. An injustice has obviously occurred. What did I decide to do? I wrote him back a very nice, oh man, I wish I should have sent to, I don't have my phone, I have it on there. It's on my phone, but I sent him a message of encouragement back. Stated, because he wrote, hey, at this point, I'm just trying to be consistent. He mentioned the word, he's struggling with consistency in his life, because I sent him something positive back. Because when I asked about it previously, he gave me excuses about how he shipped it on the 23rd. He's like, oh, really? You haven't received it yet? That's weird. I shipped it. And then immediately the next message is, oh, actually, I got returned. And I was like, okay, poor boy. It's very obvious. I can perceive he's spinning himself in circles, okay? I'm not going to call him out on that. He's already done it himself, and he's aware of it by his actions, okay? What is that going to do to someone that already feels embarrassed and ashamed to rail into them, to make them feel even worse about themselves? It's not going to do anything. Do we see how I broke the cycle of hate here? Yes, I could easily justify that I was done dirty. However, I chose to support this person and just make them aware that, yes, life is challenging. And I told him, I understand what you're going through. Over the last 2 years, if I was, I'm going to cry. If I was given $1, if I was given a penny for every time I have felt embarrassed or shamed or wronged, I would be the world's richest person right now, okay? So I understand what you're going through, that you feel like you're worthless. However, for you to give up on yourself and to demonstrate inconsistency shows that you are, like, you feel those things about yourself. How can other people treat you better when you yourself don't value your own life? You yourself view yourself as worthless and embarrassing and shameful, which is why that the actions have occurred this way. I didn't say that to him, but I just said, it's hard for others to honor and respect your life and view it as sacred and reverent and worthy. Like how you believe that you're worthy when you yourself treat yourself and show that you don't value your own life. You don't value your own worth, your effort. Okay, you're self-sabotaging yourself. And so I made him aware. I said, hey, don't worry about the shipping. I don't desire it anymore. I said, it's all good. Like I said, life happens. I don't desire your artwork anymore. And I said, I wish you the best of luck with everything and good luck. After I wrote him this very kind email back, just being like, I understand. And I said back to him, I said, life happens. I understand. Things occur. And at this point, to be quite frank, I'm doubting whether this artwork was ever actually created to begin with. And I said, if that occurred, I understand. However, be honest about it. It will make you feel better. There's just no hard feelings. Again, life happens. I have no idea if he's going to respond to that, but whatever. But I made sure to let him know. Don't worry about it. You clearly needed this money more than I did. But I expressed that I no longer desired anything that he had to create. Because again, he needed a wake-up call. He needed a wake-up call, right? To demonstrate that, man, I am disappointing myself. Look what I've done. This person believed in me. I believed in me, and look what I did. I'm tired of doing this to myself. I'm tired of it. I'm going to do something different. Okay, do we all see how easy it is for me to take that, right? I could have, because on his social media, he posted things like, oh, I'm taking commissions now. I can ship internationally too. I'm so excited. I could have trolled him. I could have said and posted screenshots of what occurred and how he lied and all these inconsistencies. I could have made a video on that. I could have blasted him. I could have done that. What would that do? Would that help propagate misunderstanding and hate? Or would that transform misunderstanding and hate? Okay. That is an example of perceiving past the surface layer. Because again, reacting based on emotional reflexes, that feeling that you get, I've talked about this before, that feeling when you feel like you've been wronged, like you've been done dirty. When you're playing that victim card, I could have played this victim card up all day and everyone would agree with me and support me. However, I am choosing to not be a victim because I recognize that this is a grand opportunity. And it was awesome because hopefully everyone can perceive how that transformed, right? I could have easily took that misunderstanding and amplified it. I could have quadrupled it. Okay, I could have really thrown that out there. But instead I did this. Does everyone see now how it's possible to take a situation where hate could literally brew, fester, and become something catastrophic? And instead, I chose to break that cycle. And I spoke and utilized my words, and I'm doing it now to demonstrate to others how they can do it too. And to be quite frank, I was still perturbed, right? Because again, I equate this to raising children. I feel like I'm raising 8.1 billion children because everyone I encounter behaves along these lines. Okay. Everyone has their unique way of learning, including myself. However, most people are unaware that they're in a state of learning. At least I'm honest about it. I'm aware and understand things, but I'm also in a state of learning. I have myself to take care of. I myself am a child. I have to spend 24/7 with me. However, when I interact with other people, I don't always like to feel like I'm taking care of another child. Okay? Oh, I'm already a kid. So, I vented to Addie, my scammer friend in Nigeria. And he wrote back, he's like, don't give up. Like, I'm sorry you had to do that, but you changed me. And I said, all everyone perceives is money and hate, surface layer. All everyone wants is to feel worth something, because that victim mentality, what does that do? It draws attention to you. It makes people be like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Like, you're right. What occurred to you was wrong. And leaving the victim mentality of, we're on a whimsy tangent. Leaving that victim mentality doesn't mean that what occurred to you didn't occur, didn't erase it. What occurred to you, what occurred to everyone was catastrophic. Yes, that is valid. That is true. You have a right to express that. However, recognize, be aware that how you express what occurred to you demonstrates how much you understand about what that situation did. Because if you continue to talk about it and validate and want validation that it occurred, you're going to receive it, because the past is the past. It occurred. Nothing will erase what happened to you. Just because you talk about it in a way that doesn't make it, because in your mind, perhaps, I think a lot of people, they struggle with this. They struggle to leave that victim mentality because they feel as if it's erasing what occurred to them. Like it no longer matters, like it wasn't as significant. No, to be able to explain it right, I firmly believe how I've explained this situation now with that person in India doesn't diminish what occurred to me or occurred to that person. It expands it. It deepens it. Okay. Now, if anyone desires, because that feeling of internal peace, that feeling of tranquility, a lot of people are searching for answers and understanding of things that leave them uneasy. Because everyone can perceive that state of internal dissonance. It's a physiological state. It's a quantum state of movement, okay? When that quantum state of movement is in an unstable or an irrational pattern, you can perceive it, especially if it's occurring inside your own physical body. The way to get out of that is to expand the capacity for your thoughts and cognition, right? Just like I told my story about how that injustice occurred, and I've got some real good ones too. We can get into all sorts of stories about injustices. We can get into stories about sexual assault. We can get into stories about insurance, about medicine, okay? I feel like I'm telling a modern day parable on Job because I lost everything. The only thing I have right now since last year that is still the same is like my house. That's it. The physical structure of my house is the only thing that is still original from 2 years ago. Everything else has been gone. Okay? I've lost everything, including a lot of monopoly money. That's why I call it monopoly money, because when you lose millions of dollars, it becomes monopoly money at a certain point. It's like, y'all, I can't claim this victim mentality because it's just too comical at this point. Let me see if I can do something different with it. Because again, I'm tired of this violence and misunderstanding that's occurring all over the world. So, that is an example of how to get over hate. Yes, misunderstanding that occurs in you. Misunderstanding these things, these opportunities that are given to you. Just like this. This was an opportunity for me to demonstrate and show to myself, hey, have you truly learned how to recognize and support another human being? What is your level of understanding? Are you going to react primitively like the things, like am I going to be a hypocrite? Right? Because I still get mad. I'm human. I get mad. But when I get upset, it doesn't destabilize my cognitive capacity. It doesn't destabilize my thoughts. I go on whimsy tangents and talk about things, but I don't actually get invoked to a state of wanting to purposely seek revenge or seek what I define as justice. Because I recognize that cycle propagates misunderstanding. And I love that Addie actually, because I complained to him. I said, all everyone wants is money. All they perceive is money. And I complained to him and I texted him this morning and he said, I don't anymore. And I wasn't aware of that. He said, you changed me. I don't think that way anymore. Like I value myself more than I value money. Because I recognize what you've done for me. And that was huge. That was huge this morning. And I laughed. I responded back. I was like laughing, and I was just like, you did not get it right away, dear sir. It took me, how long have I been talking to you? Since like May. It took me since May to get you to this point. We're in November, okay? But that is really quick. I'm actually quite impressed with that because May, June, July, August, September, October, November. It took me 7 months. 7 months of just utilizing words. Finally, I sent him that package, right? Just 7 months. In 7 months, he changed his perspective on how he perceives money and how he perceives how others treat him and how he treats himself, how he views himself. Which, to be quite frank, is a lot faster than what it took me, guys. It took me 33 years. It took me 33 years to graduate to a level of being above a caveman. And then after those 30, now it's on my third year of going through like 12 PhD programs at once. However, everyone can perceive, based on how I articulate myself and think, that I've done some good work. I've done some good cognitive work. Okay. So hopefully that helps with hate. Now fear. I'll just keep it with hate. This has been long enough, 30 minutes. Yes, because I can go on and on. I can give more stories. What's another story I can give about overcoming hate? Because again, hate is a strong word. And hate usually is never an acute thing that occurs. Usually it's due to chronic things, chronic thoughts, chronic experiences that someone keeps having. Right? It's very easy for me. Okay, we'll give for example, over the last 2 years, I lost my job. I got retired from the military because they deemed me as cognitively incapacitated. Okay. Which, by the way, I brought the DSM because we're going to go over that. I'm going to make another video. Maybe I'll do that this morning because I have time this morning. I'm going to go over and I'm going to unravel the DSM from within using its own words to show the logical fallacy behind the DSM. And again, the DSM is like the guidebook. It's medicine's Bible for diagnosing mental health related cognitive observations that they have perceived. Okay. We are going to talk about that book. Okay. People, again, I preface this because it's going to be very easy for someone out there who has received one of these labels to get a light bulb in their head and be like, I can make a lot of money suing the hospital for this or suing someone for this. And yeah, you can. What I'm about to articulate and show, you're going to make a lot of money if you desire to file a lawsuit if you've been diagnosed with at least bipolar or schizophrenia. Okay, but again, that is not propagating understanding so much, perhaps. But if you feel that that is something you desire to do, I'm about to give y'all a bunch of free stuff that not even probably law has ever perceived, because no one ever thought that they could sue medicine or file a lawsuit for receiving the diagnosis of bipolar or schizophrenia based on the DSM, which is their guideline for how they diagnosed you. Okay. Like I said, I test thresholds. My job is to observe and to share my stories. I had the unique opportunity, I was gifted, to experience a mental rejuvenation facility known as a loony bin. And medicine was unaware that I was observing them at the same time that they were observing me. Except perhaps my personal diary and my notes are a little more rational compared to theirs. So I'll go into that next. But hold on, before I do that, let me see if there's any more stories on hate, overcoming hate. I can't think of one right now. Share your stories with me. That's how I can come up with, that's how I can make more videos. Oh, I'll give an example because my dad just texted me, so I saw it. Perfect timing. His little notification popped up. My dad, my parents got divorced, they got divorced when I was at the academy, senior year of the academy. Oh, this is actually a very good story. My dad called me, right? It was like 2 weeks, a week before my college graduation from the Air Force Academy. I was like, y'all, graduating from the Air Force Academy is a huge accomplishment, especially for me. I was a dumb kid. I went to the prep school, took the ACT, SAT like 6, 7 times. Oh, more than that. It was like just the ACT alone, it took like 6 times. It was an accomplishment for me to graduate from the academy. And like a week before that, my dad calls me and says, me and your mother are getting divorced. That shattered my world. I was distraught. I was very distraught. Because, right, this is the highlight of I'm a young kid still. I'm like 21. And I'm about to celebrate. Like, this was my moment. And my parents, who are coming to try to support me, who have supported me my entire life, dropped this on me saying, we're getting divorced. It was like they waited the second I was graduated, they dropped it on me. And I was like, boo, guys, that sucked. But I understand this in hindsight. But at the time, right, a divorce, my parents, I was 21. They were married for like 30 some, whatever, how many years it was. They were married for decades. And to finally get divorced after their children are grown up, that's hard. That's a hard adjustment for anyone. And when I went back home, because I was pretty livid. I went on a spending spree. I took the credit card that my dad paid for, and I spent like $1,500 on it. I went to the outlet malls and went and spent $1,500 on stuff that I never actually even wore, because I was just so angry. I wanted to punish my parents. Like, how dare you guys do this? Because again, I was misunderstanding. If that isn't clear, as a child, I was misunderstanding. And I remember my dad texting me being like, do you realize you just spent that much money on the credit card? Like, I'm canceling the credit card. And I said, well, you should have thought about it before you divorced my mother, before you ruined my mother's life. That's what I said to my dad. Now imagine, as a parent, working your entire life to raise this godforsaken child, me, that is a bozo and goes on all sorts of adventures and does whimsical things. How much you've sacrificed for me to come back when you are hurting, when he was hurting, when my parents were hurting, to say something that disrespectful to him. Tell me that isn't propagating hate. I was so upset with him because I blamed him, because I always heard my mom always said, like, your father doesn't love me, like, why I wish this, and like, why is like this is so that bad. They always fought and argued and blah blah blah. No one was ever happy. We can go into the semantics, okay? Me being an outside perspective, right? Because people are afraid to be vulnerable and express themselves, or they misunderstand it. I judged my father and blamed him because I took my mother's side. But then when I came back from, because you get 60 days of paid leave once you graduate the academy, 60 days. So I did a little trip with my friends through Europe. We backpacked through Europe. So much fun. Literal backpacking through Europe. It's wild. If you've never done it, I suggest it. It's wild. Staying in hostels. So cool. When I came back home to visit the home, my mom had already moved out. The divorce had happened. I had never seen the house look so disheveled. And by disheveled, I mean it was spotless. There was like no dust anywhere. But like the grass wasn't mowed. The paint was peeling, or there was like a board like up. My dad never lets anything go a day when it needs stuff to be taken care of. And then when I came home, that my neighbors saw, they were like, hey, is your dad doing okay? Is everything okay? Like, and seeing that, observing it, experiencing that firsthand, and seeing how bad my dad was hurting, I was like, oof. that flipped the script for me. And I hated my mom. Seeing how much my dad hurt, and then starting to piece together the pieces, because every time, like for the 4 years in dental school, my mom didn't understand, I think, the concept of divorce. Or maybe she thought like, hey, like just because we're divorced doesn't mean we're not gonna be friends. Like we're still humans. So she would text him, be like, hey, can you go to the Korean market and grab this for when Sharon visits, or this and that. She would always like ask for things. And my dad did it. Because my dad was like, your mother, he had a box of like stuff from the Korean store that he went and bought her. And he would always just say, your mother wanted these things from the store, so can you please take it to her when you go visit her? Because she moved to Atlanta, like 3 or 4 hours away. So she was close enough that we could visit, because she recognized that I wouldn't go visit her, or we wouldn't visit her unless she was close to a place that we already visited. Especially since I hated my mom. I blamed her for it because I saw how much my dad put forth effort. And even after they got divorced, my dad, he said, take whatever you want, doesn't matter. I will support you for a year. I'll pay for all your schooling. I will do this so you can get on your feet. Talk about an extraordinary human being. Okay? That's the type of dad I have. And my mom, she's so cool. But I hated my mom. I hated her. I blamed her. I blamed her for the divorce. And after that, and after I saw what occurred to my dad, right? At first I hated my dad. Now I hated my mom. But can everyone perceive how this is a tragic misunderstanding? Yes, my perspective is valid, right? Everyone's perspective is valid. But also, just because my puzzle piece is valid doesn't mean that the entire puzzle isn't valid as well. And everyone has a puzzle piece. Every life is a puzzle piece. And for me to literally take out on other human beings, people that are responsible for creating my life, and hating them, literally hating them. I told this to my dad when I last visited, because even now we went out last Thanksgiving as a family. And even Keegan came with me. It's in my diary. I haven't gotten there yet. And it was the first time like our family was kind of, because it was my dad, my mom, me and Keegan. And then later, relatives arrived later. But when we first got there, because they were driving separate, when we first got there, it was just us. And it was just like, it was the most civil and most awesome I've seen my parents interact. Because my mom always likes drinking warm water. It's an Asian thing. So she asked for warm water. We went to like a Korean barbecue place because they love Korean food. And we took our orders, whatever. And it was one of those places where you can like just order, you can continue order like the meat. You keep pressing on the phone and keep ordering it. And so when the waiter came at first, even my dad was just like, here, I don't need this. She understands. She knows what to order. She knows what I like. That was cool. That was cool. He trusted, and my mom did. She knew everything. She rattled off all his favorites, purchased everything that she knew exactly what he wanted. He didn't say a word. He handed back the menu to the waiter and be like, she knows exactly what I like. And I'm like, yeah, I do too. You love that woman. I'm aware you still love her. And she loves you. You guys are just being bozos. I did a parent trap. We'll talk about that. And then so my mom orders everything. We're having a good time. And then the waiter comes back a second time to bring more stuff. And my dad, everyone has their drinks on the table. My dad says, hey, you didn't bring her water. She asked for water when we first got here. Can you please get her cup of warm water? And no one noticed it except for me. I was just like, even my mom didn't notice. It was so adorable. But it was such a good time. We had such a good time. And as we were leaving, my mom wanted to come up to the car to say thank you and just say how much fun she had. And as she came up to the car to try to say that, my dad rolled the window up on her because he didn't want to talk. He was like, okay, bye. And like rolled up on the window on her because he's still hurt. And so when I last visited him, when I visited him a couple weeks ago, I made him aware of that memory and what I perceived. And I told him, I said, hey, I hated mommy. I wanted her dead. I wanted her extinct. I wanted nothing more than to see her wiped off the face of this planet after the divorce. Because I saw how much she hurt you. I hated her. And it took me like a decade. It took me a decade to understand who I actually hated. And I hated me for misunderstanding. And him hearing that story and me perceiving his actions, it clicked a light bulb in him, because he even shook his head and be like, no, like, don't say that. And I said, why would I not say that? Look what your actions demonstrate. You continue to demonstrate that she's someone that I should hate. Look how you talk about her. Look how you act. Why would I not want her, why would I not hate her and want her dead based on what you demonstrate to me? Okay, do we understand how powerful perception and actions and words demonstrate? And so, oh my gosh, the guy just messaged me back on Threads. We'll see what he says. That'll be interesting. But anyways, I'm aware that both of my parents are phenomenal people and they still love each other. And so I tried doing a parent trap. Oh, he just messaged me again. I tried doing a parent trap because we had VHF videos of when we were little, all our home videos. And when my parents got divorced, my dad gave me like a stack of them. Like, here's our childhood videos. And I was like, oh, these are going to go bad. Like, let me convert them to CDs or DVDs. And so I did a couple years ago. But then I realized I had the only copy. And so I made a copy for my sister. And I asked it for her birthday last year or this year. Because I thought it was a good gift. Because I recognized she's got a lot of trauma, childhood trauma or hate that she is carrying forward, and it's now impacting how she's raising her kids, but she's unaware of it because she loves them so much that she's trying to prevent them from going through what she perceived that she experienced. Because she was an extraordinary child. However, she felt, I believe she felt neglected and unloved and hated, misunderstood by our parents. And so now she's basically really loving her kids, and love is an extraordinary thing. However, over nurturing can lead to unwanted outcomes as well. So it's cognizant, right? Because right now her parenting style is very driven towards protection and love and for example, okay, this is how detrimental it is. She has a 3-year-old, actually just turned 4, I believe. When I was last over there this year, I was reading The Giving Tree with him. And I get to one page and I said, because he kept being like, that's me, I'm the little boy, or this and that. And I said, what about now? Can you climb the tree? He says, no, I can't anymore. I'm old. I can't. And he kept saying, I can't. At 3 years old, he was already telling me I can't do that, reading a book. And I said, no, Nikhil, you can do it. Look at your mommy and daddy. What have they not been able to do? Can you do this, Nikhil? You can always do something. You can put whatever you try to do, you can put your mind to it. You can do it. To say you can't, it's tragic, right? To hear a 3-year-old say I can't is tragic. I can't do that. He already had in his mind, in his future, I can't do that because I will be old. That's what he said. So I corrected him. I said, no, you can't. You can, Nikhil. You can do it. I said, what have you not been able to do? I've never seen you not be able to do something you tried to do, Nikhil. Like, look at your mom and dad. Do you think they couldn't do stuff? Look what they've done. They can, because they always said, I can. And he was just giggling and laughing, and everyone was quiet because they could overhear me telling the story. Anyways, I digress. So I actually made 2 copies of the DVDs, and that was expensive, man. It was like $400. Stuff ain't cheap these days, y'all. This is what I spend my money on. This is why I have to practice financial discernment. So when I try to help others, it's expensive. Anyways, I made her a whole stack of the DVDs from our childhood memories. Because again, I wanted her to watch it and perceive it I even sent her like some videos when I was watching it to like inspire her to get curious to watch it, because there are memories in there that she was like, oh, I don't even remember that, because she always talks rather negatively about one of our parents. And so I made sure to send a video that she didn't even remember occurring of that parent attending this school thing, and they're making little gingerbread houses. But that third set of DVDs of childhood memories that I got, I actually split them up. There's 7 total, and I gave, because I was recently visiting my mom and dad, coincidentally. And so I said, oh, Mother, you get to choose 3 because you're doing better than Father, and Father will get 4. So, which DVDs would you like to have of our childhood memories? Because if you want the other ones, you and Father are going to have to talk and exchange these. And so I gave her 3, and she giggled and laughed. She's like, oh, I see what you're trying to do. I'm like, yes, because you 2 are adults. You need to stop acting like children. And I gave her 3, and I gave my dad 4. And coincidentally, both of them, because I was like, which one do you want to watch? Let's watch one together. They both picked out of all the piles they had, because I had my full stack. My mom had all 7 to pick from. She picked the exact same one my dad did. Because my dad only had 4 to choose from, but out of the 4 he chose, he picked the exact same one as my mom. And I was just like, ugh, I have to watch this again. Like, could you not pick another one? But, I went with what he wanted to watch. But they both coincidentally wanted to watch the exact same one. So I've watched the same DVD like 2 or 3 times. Oh. However, if this helps someone out there understand what they have experienced and be proud of it, and expand it to a cognitive depth that they can explain it to make them feel proud of what has occurred, even if it's bad, right? I talked about, I lost everything. Oh, this Threads person messaged me again. We'll have to see what they say, because I don't think I can click it. It'll stop my video. So I'll stop my video. But guys, it's possible. Thinking is a safe place to do things, especially to address fear. So please, write in the comments, do something, articulate any sort of experience that perhaps that you have trouble grasping, or you want to share, that you want explained in a different perspective to make you be able to transform your hate and not react like how I previously used to react, right? Because again, hopefully that does it, man. I don't know what other stories I can tell, which I have a lot of stories. So I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna end this at 53 minutes. I'll make some more videos, because it's like, again, it's like, what time is it? It's 6:32 now. So I have some time. The Mall of America doesn't open till 10. I'm going to Crayola World, and I coincidentally saw on Instagram, there's some human that rides the turtle ride. I guess it like spins. And this person rides like thousands and thousands of time, but they spin like vertigo. I get so much vertigo. I saw a video. They're like a legend down here. They're like a local legend that comes and rides it. So I'm hoping I run into them, because I want to talk to them, and maybe I can like take them out to eat and just like hear about their life story, because that's extraordinary. Like, some woman rides a roller coaster over and over again that spins, that you like literally, the flying turtle or whatever it is. So I hopefully want to run into her and talk to her. So, okay. Hopefully that helps people with overcoming hate a little bit, or understanding hate.